Today, we need to talk about apparently private pictures being sold and this being talked about online. We also need to get into rumors of HYBE staff or someone paying stalkers to get V. We also need to get into a Sasaeng hurting Hyunjin. So hey Dumplings, it's Dave. Decide hate or not, make sure you're subscribed with the notification bell on. Grab your dumplings, hey spilling mug merch, and let's go. If you're not aware, Stray Kids members have been doing some solo stuff. Obviously, they're not disbanded or done with the group, but the members have been having some fun releasing some solo songs where we get to hear how wonderful they sound. I think this is very different from American pop, where they try to have the members never do solo stuff. However, it is very different in Korea, as Korea has a different mentality, and usually the mentality is over collectivism instead of individualism. So doing something that benefits everyone as opposed to just themselves. And the fans love seeing the members together. Therefore, if you have the members all stay together, it almost feels like you're staying loyal to the fans. Like when a group disbands, it almost feels like a betrayal to everyone who has supported the group. So K-pop groups being allowed to go solo and get that out of their system is great, and they can come back together and be a group again later. Member Hyunjin was recently at an event and he had a butt ton of security with him. They did a very good job at keeping him safe, to the point where they were building themselves this huge security barrier between the fans and the member. The event was, I believe, for Versace, and a huge unexpected crowd formed outside. This is definitely a bit different from an airport appearance where it's planned. You really can't predict who is going to show up at a clothing or brand event, especially if the brand might have done press releases and those things without the label's knowledge, which typically they will do because they have their right to do that. So it's not as curated, and the people who show up are going to be random. Hyunjin was leaving the Versace event and was starting to get crowded. An alleged YouTuber posted a video where they had waited for Hyunjin and then started shouting at Hyunjin. People were definitely extremely upset over this, because people were saying that if you look at Hyunjin in that moment, he very clearly seems like he is very upset and he seems very scared. He looks like he wants to crawl into a shell. And people were upset how this was even acceptable behavior to have, because what was the point of this? Was this supposed to be content to post? And if so, it's quite strange to make content where it shows someone is clearly uncomfortable. Obviously this would get a lot of attention, but it paints the YouTuber in a much more negative light, as it makes them seem like an instigator. I think what a lot of people doing social media don't realize is building an audience or getting views doing these types of actions where it hurts people is really only temporary success, if you even want to call this success. You might even do it for a few years where all the videos get a lot of attention, but needing to one-up yourself every time and be more and more outrageous will be tough. And yeah, you'll have to do that, because once you do a video where you're being rude and getting views, others will jump on and do it too, because it works. Meaning you can no longer do that thing because others are doing it too. And it gets boring if you're still doing it. So you have to one-up everyone and yourself. And at a certain point, if you keep upping these actions, you'll go right to jail. What's the next step? Hitting or touching Hyunjin? Yeah, right to jail. People were wondering if Hyunjin was tracked. I don't know. I think everyone just knew where he'd be due to the event being public. I also like to give the YouTuber the benefit of the doubt to say maybe this was just an action he did after being starstruck, and it was never supposed to be a stunt pulled to get attention, which totally happens all the time, but not a great thing to happen. People have a lot of theories and ideas on how stalkers work, and there really aren't as many real stalker moments that exist. Each stalker moment that does exist usually exists for like the top 1% of idols that exist. It's not every day, and most idols really don't go through that situation. However, it's always been accused that anyone that has a fan page that regularly updates on idols with photos that are exclusive photos are usually stalker accounts. And these accusations make no sense, because the people who accuse the other fan accounts of doing this are usually smaller fan accounts, so it always appears as if these smaller accounts are just jealous of the bigger ones. They'll make a post that says this fan account is a stalker, and then mass people will just go and unfollow without thinking or doing research. And I've seen this happen so much, and it annoys me because the person never ever really needs to provide any evidence of anything actually being done. They just have to say words. And I find this interesting, because then they'll be the first to play victim if someone does that to them when they get bigger. And I used to think that it was done because they actually believed that the bigger fan accounts did anything wrong, but I think they know that the bigger account didn't actually do anything wrong, because when you ask them, they don't respond. And so there are tons of people attacking legit fan accounts, saying that they sell private photos of the members or buy Sasaeng photos, and these things can be so easily disproved, but no one tries. I'm so sick of seeing this, because the K-pop fandoms are filled with people who are very self-serving, but at the same time often like to project the things that they want and accuse others of doing that. A lot of BTS fan clubs are taking photos, and for the sole benefit of BTS, they genuinely have worked so hard, and then they can finally make a living taking BTS photos and following them around to official events. There's nothing wrong with this, and a practice that has been happening for generations. Accusing these accounts of solely just wanting money or clout is extremely mean, because a lot of them are not there just for clout and money. They have to make money in order to keep the account running and be alive, but no, they don't make millions. No one who talks about K-pop is in it to make millions. Literally covering other genres can grant you hundreds of millions of views a month because it appeals to everyone. As big as K-pop has gotten, it's still considered very niche. And then on top of that, how many of those who like K-pop will enjoy watching fan-made content? So it's even less. Whereas if these accounts were to only care about clout, then report on Trump or Biden and you'll get millions of views with every video. There also then became a rumor that exists that was quite shocking to me. People were saying that HYBE staff or whoever was paying a Sasaeng or a stalker to go after V so they could get personal information from him. Why would they do that? There's no benefit to the company if they do that. That rumor came about, in my opinion, because these fans are so obsessed with the personal life of V that they think that the HYBE staff is also, when in reality HYBE cares about making money and keeping their company going. They don't have time to play childish games and track everything V is doing. This rumor came about because people were extremely shocked to hear that Sasaeng had apparently stalked V so hard that V and this stalker were found together in his apartment's elevator. The alleged stalker had shown V her marriage papers that she pre-filled out, and I guess gave it to him and then left, hoping that V would sign them and then drop it off at the marriage office, which makes no sense because they literally never spoke before. And I'm sure V was most freaked out about how the stalker even knew his schedule well enough to be able to track him in the elevator and know when he'd be on it. I'm sure even with the sudden rise in stalkers with Jungkook, all the members have been on edge to make sure they're not being followed either. V then took the information from the marriage documents and then filled a police report, and allegedly the stalker was reported to be arrested. People believe when these incidents occur because the company is trying really hard to keep tabs on V's personal life to maybe figure out if he's dating or not. And to this, I really feel like people don't understand how a company works. The only reason the K-pop labels even care that the idols date, drink, drive, or do anything is because the idols are the product and are an expensive product because they make the company millions. Meaning if the idol drives or drinks, they could potentially injure or hurt themselves. They could also do something while drunk and get bad press, which will cause the label to lose money. And the label only cares about dating because the fans make a big deal out of it. They make it into a scandal. A label couldn't honestly care less if an idol date, if it doesn't ruin their bottom line or quote unquote damage their perfect product. I also think it's a bit of a fantasy for people to be like, I want to work for HYBE because they want to get close to BTS or any group. However, the people that get hired are not random people on the street with no entertainment skills. The people that get hired to do BTS's makeup are people who have been working in the industry for years to build their resume and build an impressive one with many iconic idols on there. So you're telling me a Sasaeng will do that, go through years of training just so that they could maybe one day be BTS's makeup artist to then ruin all that by paying a stalker or being a stalker? There's a very little chance a staff member is a stalker due to simply the experience levels. Airport staff or train staff, sure, because those companies don't always hire from experience. But in entertainment, they hate hiring people with no experience since people with experience barely have work most of the time. Let me know what you think. Make sure you check out Patreon for more videos. Link down below. Link to this lovely comment right here. Love you. Bye.